Welcome to another action-packed episode of Dynamite the Light. This was a good show. I didn't see a lot of problems with it. Women were the major problem to me personally, but I didn't see a lot of problems with it. Let's get to the special things. We had an interview with Moxley. And JR and Moxley, I really do believe JR should stick to doing interviews and doing special segments, because as you guys already know, while in commentary seat, he's been botching a lot. Now, there's nothing wrong with people botch on the mic, but not every single night you botch 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And I really wish Taz was there. I know other people will probably say, no, leave him there. I'm not against JR. I still love him. He does great once in a while on commentary, but every night he just seems to botch a lot. He got Cody mixed up with Dustin. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just saying it. But he did a good job with Moxley. Moxley said, well, right now I'm not mentally cleared, but I want to make it clear. I'm letting anybody come at me. Inner Circle, come at me, bro. Come on. Come on. I don't care who you are. When you deal with me, I'm going to destroy you. And he said he has a problem with Inner Circle, and he knows it's not over, but I don't care. I'm going to deal with you with blood and guts. This will be an interesting pay-per-view when it comes to them dealing with the blood and guts match, which is basically the War Games match. Now, the first match, Ortiz versus Cody. I was actually kind of surprised to see Cody up against Ortiz. I was actually very surprised. It was an okay match. But I was surprised, why would they go there? Why? Until I saw Jake the Snake Roberts and Lance, what's the guy named? Lance Archer. I haven't seen him before, but the guy looks mean. And I do agree with, I believe it was Tony Schiavone who said it best. He said that this guy has been seen around the world and he's just evil, destructive. And he does have that look. So in the end, it was Cody who won, but then he got the beat down. And then the Inner Circle appears. Oh, and Archer and Jake leave as well. Well, Jake and Archer leave it before the ending. Then the ending happened. Then the Inner Circle comes in. And then you see Cody. Well, not the Inner Circle in the sense they come and beat up Cody. No, they have a backstage segment. And the Inner Circle says, hey, Cody, you idiot. We're going to come at you when it comes to the pay-per-view. But we also want to make it very clear we're going to be roughshod all across this division. And look who we took out. And then you see Nick Jackson on the floor underneath the steel gate. Blood coming from his mouth. Nice touch with the blood. That really did help it a lot. Just having his feet stick out like the WWE would do it. They would have the guy's feet sticking out. Maybe they would have his chest under the gate, but they wouldn't show blood. Here they show blood, and I liked it. Along with Y2J saying, you piece of shit. I like that. In the end, they took him to the hospital. So the entire elite was gone. Now another segment happened where you see the Bucks, and this is well before this happened, the Bucks with the... I'm going to save that. I'll save it for the end. Let's move on to the match that I kind of wish had hype. That I kind of wish they would promote it before they do these matches. When it comes to the women, they don't give us something ahead of time. They don't really schedule something and say, hey, Nia Rose is going to be in action a week before. and say that the world champion Nyla Rose is going to be on the show, or say the world champion Nyla Rose is going to be in a tag match on the show, not in social media. I know everybody say, well, social media is how they do it. Not everyone's going to be noticing social media. They're not going to be looking at the feed all the time on Twitter. Sometimes they need to hear it on the show. Not because you're an old fart. It's because a lot of people don't have time to look on the Twitter feeds, to care about others' Twitter feed than its wrestling Twitter feed. So, we got Nyla Rose and B. Priestley. I'm just going to call her Priestley. Versus Shida and Statlander. It was a good match. And it was Shida who basically ate the pin for Nyla Rose, which I wasn't surprised. But now you have Priestley beating up on Nyla Rose in the very ending of that well, not the end of the match. After the match, the very few moments after the match was over, she gets her ass kicked. She's laying on the floor, and pretty much Priestley has the title in her hand. Don't know if I got that shot. I don't think I got it. But does this mean it's a good thing? Yes. Does this mean that she is in the title scene? No. That's Britt Baker. And we had a Britt Baker moment. And I know I'm jumping around, but this is my style. Sometimes I do it. But when you see the interview between... What made me happy in this one was that Britt Baker included dental words or dental verbiage in her segment. That was the wisest thing to do. I don't know about anybody else. We are talking about a heel who's a legitimate dentist, and she doesn't use her actual practice, her actual profession in her promo segments, in her work in the ring where she's trying to knock people's teeth out of their mouth or down their throat, is a travesty of justice. And seeing that she did mention it during her segment made me personally very happy. But then you got Big Swole coming out. And I actually think that was the wisest thing to do. I don't want to see Big Swole deal with Nyla Rose right now. Look, I like Nyla Rose. I actually like Big Swole. I think Big Swole, the woman is freaking jacked. And she does have a lot of charisma. But she's green. And so is Nyla Rose. And when I heard Tony Schiavone say 100% during the match that Nyla Rose has improved dramatically since she had the title, that's not true. I like Nyla Rose. But when you look at her, she has not improved her ring work that much. She is improving, but she's not like from here, where this hand is, to here. She's like here. She needs months with that title and months to work with more than just one woman to really look like she can become here and feel like a really good champion that is a heel. She just doesn't feel it. But seeing that Big Swole is hopefully having a feud with Britt Baker makes me actually quite happy. But then I look at Shida. It upsets me to see that the Japanese wrestlers are going to probably be only useful in dark, or putting over other women who are not Japanese because they're not sponsoring them. Look, I don't disrespect any Japanese wrestler, no matter if they're male or female. But when it comes down to you move from Japan, or if you're working in America, you got to be sponsored as an American or European or even a Mexican wrestler. They give you promo segments and you got to be doing them. They give you in-ring segments. You got to do them. And when it comes to Kenny Omega, who at this moment has broken his hand, I would think this man who worked in America, who worked in Canada, who worked in Japan, would have the freaking brain power. If it's just him booking the Japanese women, I would smack. I don't care if I'm like this and he's like this, and I come up to him and say, "How you doing, Kenny?" He says, "Hey, how you doing?" I smack him in his damn face and I say, "Dude, at this moment I know you can break my face. But you know what? You deserve that. Because you're not sponsoring the women that are from Japan like women that are from Europe, in America, in Canada, and in Mexico. Give them talking segments. Get a freaking translator and get a linguist and type it on the freaking screen and make them mean something." I'm looking up and it was right in my face. And then he would just crunch my face in. I want to see women being treated like they mean something. That means the Japanese wrestlers have to do in-ring segments. It doesn't matter if they speak Japanese or not. They should speak a bit English or a bit Spanish. I think they probably do. But they haven't learned Japanese or with English. Get them translators. Get a linguist who can type and then put it on the freaking show. I'm just saying. Now, we got Private Party and Joey Giovanni. Janella. Now, I always forget Janella's last name because he is boring as a hardcore wrestler. I just flat out forget him. And then they're going up against Death Triangle, the Lucha Brothers, and Pac. Now, the match itself, I'm not going to really talk that much about. It was a good match. You got 6 guys who are pretty good in the ring. Janella. I keep saying Janella. Janella. You see how forgettable he is. Because he's still trying to be the bad boy of hardcore wrestling, and he should be more of a Shawn Michaels type of guy. Unless he's changed, he's still a hardcore wrestler, and he's not an HBK. He doesn't have to be HBK 100%, but he needs to be HBK because he has the hair, he's got the look, he's got the attitude, and if he's acting like a hardcore wrestler instead of a flashy guy, he's dumb. That's the reason why I keep forgetting his name, Joey Janella. You see, I remembered it now because I forced myself to remember it because I don't really think of him. He's trying to be a hardcore wrestler, which is boring. He's boring as a hardcore wrestler. Look at Darby Allin, who did another video package. Him hammering his... I gotta say this. I like how Darby Allin is. He is a hardcore wrestler. He's the next embodiment of Mick Foley. Yes, he's a tiny, skinny guy. But Mick Foley was the type that didn't care about pain. He would get hurt. He would do whatever it took to become destructive. Look at Joey Janella compared to Darby Allin. Darby Allin is a Mick Foley. Joey Janella is not. He's not. And if anybody thinks he is, give me some reason to believe that when he acts like HBK, he has to look like HBK. He's HBK. And you look at Darby Allin, he's got face paint. He does the coffin drop. He does not care if he throws his body at you at 50 miles an hour. He'll take the hit like a damn crash test dummy. He feels like a hardcore wrestler. He feels like Mick Foley. Please, somebody, someone in AEW, get Mick Foley to come to AEW just one time if he can. If he's not still booked and is working with the WWE, come to AEW and put over Darby Allin in his second coming of Mick Foley. He may not be able to use the name, but it's the best option. In the end, the heels win. But I just don't see anything very helpful for... They need a title. The reason they stuck Death Triangle together like they did with... Look how many groups we got. We got Private... Well, not saying Private Party has anybody. You got Best Friends with Orange Cassidy, which he did show up in the end of the match. You got the Dark Order. Now we know the Exalted One is either next week or the week after he's coming. Then you got the Inner Circle. Then you got the Elite. How many groups do you have? You got the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. You got 5 different groups. Too many groups. They need another title. I don't care if it's not a mid-card title. Just bring another title. Please. Let me see. Am I forgetting anything here? MJF and the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny. I just talked about them. Versus Jurassic Express. Saying it right now. If I don't have him in my face, he should be in my face. Luchasaurus is money. And I say it again. Luchasaurus is money. I don't think I'll put the graphic in there. That's a lot of work. I'm a little lazy sometimes. But when it came to the match, you saw the one that was the most important was Luchasaurus. And they hammered his knees like crazy. I'm not saying Marco's stunt didn't look okay. And I'm not saying that the Jungle Boy Jack isn't great. But when it comes down to it, the problem I saw, even though the heels won, you look at the Butcher... When is the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny going to win in a tag match? They can win when they're with somebody, but they can win their asses at all if they're by themselves. Think about it for guys. Think about it for a minute. They're useless unless they're tagged with somebody. And that just makes them a waste. Now, final match. Dustin and Hangman Page versus Sammy Guevara and the champion Y2J. Now, as I said earlier, someone broke their wrist, so he was not there. And in the interview, they were basically talking about that, and they have that match at the end of the show. That is supposedly Kenny Omega and Page, but since Kenny Omega broke his wrist, broke his hand, he can't wrestle. And the Bucks were with him. But Paige made it very clear, I am not tagging with your asses, not one damn bit. Forget it, I will find somebody. And it is Dustin who steps up and says, I don't care if he likes me or not. He's having me as a tag partner. I really do believe that Hangman Page was going to do it by himself. That's where he wanted it. And you can see him being pissed off that he had to deal with Dustin. But in the end, faces do win. They get their asses kicked. Kenny comes out, he gets his ass kicked, and it is Matt who comes back, he gets his ass kicked. You get Cody, he gets his ass kicked, and then you see Hangman Page be dragged to the back, and then given the Moxie treatment, the quintuplet power bomb by the Inner Circle, and you get, I got something for ya. What did we get in this show? We got a lot of match, and we got a bit of story. And we got a build going into Blood and Guts. This was a good show. I'm not going to agree with the women, though, because I would have liked them to sponsor Nia Rose going to be in action. They could have made a video segment. They could have given her a promo segment. They could have given another interview. But they just threw her out there to do a tag match. And this is your women's title holder. Give her something. I'm just saying. Have a good day. Have a good night. And there will not be any NWA Power because there is nothing this week. Because we got the Circle Square. I will be watching it again. And I'll say this about Circle Squared. It is interesting. I haven't seen it yet. It is interesting. But I don't want to give my opinion on it. Because I'd rather see who they may get to join NWA. I'd rather leave it blank. You guys tell me below what you think. Peace.